Hi there. In this video, we'll be covering how much do you make writing a book? It's actually one of the most common questions that I've received as a ghostwriter. I've worked on books that have generated six-figure revenue, and I've worked on books that have lost money. It all comes down to rethinking what book success looks like to you and connecting your book to your other opportunities and offerings. By the end of this video, you will learn how to turn your book into a revenue machine and why I want you to stop thinking about book sales. And stay tuned until the end of the video for an opportunity I really think you're going to enjoy. Let's dive in. The money that you can generate from a book depends on so many different factors. Depends on the path that you choose for publication, depends on the topic, it depends on your desire to promote the book. There's so many different factors at play that it's tough to really say in any estimation how much money you can make from writing a book. It really depends. But if you stick with it and you write a book that can drive revenue opportunities, then the sky's the limit. There's a caveat that I want you to think about though. You're probably going to lose money on writing the book itself. The book itself costs money. Even if you end up writing the book yourself and you end up working with professional editors and you work with professional designers and you work with professional promoters, you could end up spending $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 just to get your book published and promoted. At the very least, if you were just working with the exact people you need to in order to publish the book and design the book, you're probably looking at $5,000 in spending total, which is quite a bit of money and something that some people can't afford. It's not an easy amount of money to fork over. There's a reason why people spend money on those types of services, and it's because those professionals can help the authors unlock extra value in their book. If you publish the book as is without going through the editing process, without challenging it, without really strengthening your story and your message to make it as strong as possible, it's like water rushing through a sieve. You're going to miss opportunities if your message is not as strong as possible and if it's not connected to the right things. So yes, you could lose money on the book itself. However, and there's a big however, there's so many other opportunities that could unlock because of your book. Think about the speaking engagements that you could generate because of it. If you're getting $10,000 to $20,000 every time you give a speech, that book could become valuable pretty quickly. If you have $50,000 services for your company and you get 5 or 6 people to read your book and sign up to work with you, that's pretty good money. This could pick up quickly. So it's about bundling and about connecting your book to your other offerings. Whatever those offerings are. Maybe you want to be hired by a specific company and you show your expertise. Now you've created revenue generation from your book, which is awesome. The book itself is not the thing that's going to make you the most money. It's the doors that open because of the book. It's the opportunities that get created because of the book. And there are so many opportunities that can open and unlock because of your book. If you write a powerful book with a powerful message, with a powerful call to action that gets people to want to take a journey with you, who knows? And that's what's so exciting. I have clients I've worked with who have generated six-figure revenue from their books, and it had nothing to do with book sales. It had everything to do with getting the book into the right readers' hands, and those readers then want to work with the author. They want to pay the author money to work with their company. Those are the kind of opportunities that are so valuable, so rich, so meaningful because of your book. Your book documents and lays out your expertise. It lays out exactly what you do. That's what's funny about it. Because it's not about your system and your message itself, is that somebody else believes in it. Somebody else wants to buy into it. Somebody else says yes. You laid it out in a way that made them so excited to work with you directly and to meet with you directly. It overrides. They see the value in it and they recognize they don't want to do it themselves. That's one of the reasons why I end up working with ghostwriting clients. People need help with their books and they pay me to help them tell their stories in the best way possible. And I'm starting to see the success that they're generating from the books that they're writing with me. So I see the power in it. It's scary. It's scary to put your book out there. It's scary to think, am I good enough? Do I deserve to tell this story? Is my story worth telling? It 100% is. I think back to when I first got into book ghostwriting 6 or 7 years ago. I had spent a decade in newsrooms. I worked in New York City journalism. I was an editor and a breaking news reporter, and I thought I knew how to write books. And then I started writing books and recognized I had no idea. There were so many things I had to learn, so many things I had to really tap into and understand in order to become a successful book writer and ghostwriter that aren't easily accessible and available, that don't immediately become clear to you. So if somebody with my writing ability and writing background didn't know how to do this, it's a struggle for anybody. It's a struggle for anybody, even if you have writing experience, to be able to jump in and write a book that's going to connect. And that's the thing that I keep coming back to, is when you're sharing your expertise in your book, people are going to be in the same boat. They're going to say, I want this for myself, but I don't know how to do it, but I want to pay you to help me. That's what's exciting, when you can connect your book to your bigger offerings and get people excited to take a journey with you. It can lead to so many different things, but you need to write the book that resonates, you need to write a book that gets them excited, and need to write a book that wants them to act. On the flip side of that, I've worked with people that had super interesting stories, and they said, you know what, this book is going to sell itself. We just need to write a great book. And they spent tens of thousands of dollars on PR campaigns and marketing campaigns, and it didn't connect. It didn't work. They didn't sell the copies they wanted to. Most books today don't sell that many copies. They might sell only a couple hundred copies. It can be overwhelming. When you focus on book sales as the ultimate driver of success, and you don't sell the copies that you want to sell, you can feel like a failure. You can feel like a disappointment and that your story doesn't matter. Or you can connect your book to your other offerings and get people excited to book you as a speaker, to work with your company, whatever the case may be. And you can turn a couple hundred books sold into hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's really like an apples and oranges thing. If your whole driver is book sales, you have to sell a lot of copies of your book to make money. And if you write a great book and get 1 or 2 people to work with you, you can make more money that way than you can by just selling a bunch of copies of your book. There's so few books that really break through today, and even the ones that do. There's other opportunities. There's other levers that get pulled. I think about my friend Jonathan Stanley, who wrote a book called Purposeful Performance that got released in 2024, and he kept pushing, he kept striving, he kept believing in his book. And he was the subject of a viral TikTok video in early 2025, and he sold 12,000 copies of his book in a week. And, he saw so much success unfold because of that. But it wasn't about the copies sold. It was about the doors that opened for him. It's about, being able to see his message get connected to so many more people, share his message with the world in a way that they hadn't before. It's about sharing your message with the world and connecting with new audiences. And it's about really putting yourself in new rooms. And I see the rooms that he's in now, and I'm just so proud of him. But it's not about book sales. It's about what you do with book sales that matters most. And if you want to have success with your book, please rethink book sales. Book sales are not the answer, but there are ways to find success, revenue and otherwise, with your book. If you want to learn more about how much do you make writing a book, you'll definitely want to check out another episode I recorded. I'll link to it on the screen. It's called What Are the First Steps in Writing a Book? In that video, I really dive deep on the purpose that's going to drive you to finish your book, as well as the book foundation work you can do at the very beginning of the process. It's going to help light the path forward. Remember, a good book can change your life. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.